Which Doesn't Belong and Why Thursday edition commences with a closer look at the top half of this week's Power Rankings. There are three teams there that we are putting into the analysis. Which doesn't belong and why? The Patriots, the Saints, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chris, right out of the gates, no screwing around. Which doesn't belong and why?
I'm going to say the Saints. They're the team that I didn't expect to look this way. I expected the Patriots and the Buccaneers to be 1-1. I expected it not to look exactly perfect. I think the Patriots have looked actually better than what I expected. And we saw Tampa Bay get back on schedule, and Brady made some big-time throws last week in that game. It wasn't perfect, but it was something to build on. The Saints, they look like they're the work in progress. That's, I think, the surprising thing and why I just don't get it. It was an ugly win in week 1, and it was an ugly loss in week 2. So they're the team that doesn't belong to me.
I say the Patriots don't belong because of the three, the Patriots are so much better than most thought they would be.
Yeah.
The Saints are clearly not better than we thought they would be. The Buccaneers, at best, are on track.
Right.
They lost week 1, and Tom Brady didn't look good. The Patriots have been phenomenal, even though they are 1-1. And back to the Saints. We're doing our joint Chris Simms Unbuttoned PFT PM Mega Picks podcast later today. I was looking through the lines. The Saints are a 3-point favorite over the Packers. And you know what? Maybe the Packers are an illusion based upon the fact that they've played two crap teams. But, man, I was stunned to see that the Saints are still a 3-point favorite with no fans in the stands. If there were fans there, I get it. But you take the fans out and you let Aaron Rodgers operate like he operated at U.S. Bank Stadium against the Vikings. I don't know that I would have made the Saints a 3-point favorite. But, those perceptions die hard. That's the challenge of betting. There are perceptions that drive some of these lines.
Yes.
And the challenge is finding those spots where the perceptions are no longer valid.
Out of whack, exactly.
This perception may be out of whack that the Saints are 3 points better than the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, as it looks right now, there's no way I would say that. No way. And I know Green Bay, you're right. They haven't played like, the greatest teams in the world, but it's looked really good. In the Minnesota game, it was dominant at times. And then, Minnesota put up some late points and yards. Detroit came out firing last week, but then Packers kind of slammed that down for a period of time to where it just didn't matter. And of course, the offense and Rodgers are it's more aggressive. It's more just go after you and attack. And I think that's what's exciting about Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay is one of the pleasant surprises in football to me. They really are to this point, to where, I knew they were going to be good. They look a lot better than I thought. Like, they're in the conversation for one of the best teams in the NFC. No doubt about that.
Here's the thing to remember, though. We are inching toward that point in the season where I call Correction Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's where the early season trends that we think are allowing us to pontificate about how the rest of the season will go get turned on their heads out of the blue. Right. So maybe it's Correction Sunday for the Packers on NBC on Sunday Night Football. Next topic. Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals, which doesn't belong and why?
I'm going to go with the Cardinals there. I think so. I mean, the Seahawks and Rams have played really good football. I believe they're like legit 2-0 teams. I don't know if I believe that in the Cardinals yet. Again, and I don't want to take credit away from them, but I think they were very fortunate in week 1 to beat the 49ers. I know they made plays, but, man, they were on the borderline of being blown out early on in that football game. And then last week, they got to play a Washington football team that is offensively challenged. There's no other way to put that. So with that, I think they've played two favorable matchups to where, it just worked out for them, or at least one favorable matchup, another one where the ball bounced their way and they capitalized and made the plays. And I'm not trying to take credit away, but the Rams and Seahawks, to me, are proven commodities and really controlled both of their games in a lot of ways throughout. I know the Patriots made that late comeback, but, man, they were up 12 with, 4 minutes left. I mean, those two teams have been playing at a very high level.
I'm going to go in a different direction here. I'm looking past the team. I'm looking at specific positions, and let's start with the most important position on the field, the quarterback position. I'm going to say the Rams don't belong in why.
Yeah, okay, I know
why.
Yeah.
Because the Seahawks and Cardinals have the dual-threat dynamic quarterback that you need to truly be an elite team in today's NFL. It's not good enough to be the great passer with limited ability to escape when the crap hits the fan. And Jared Goff is far closer to the Kirk Cousins category than the Patrick Mahomes category. Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray are in that category of guys who can make chicken salad when things fall apart quickly. And I'd want that kind of quarterback without question. I mean, how are teams that don't have quarterbacks in their early to mid-20s not scouring every college throughout the country looking for quarterbacks that have that combination where you can trust them to come up with something on the fly when things fall apart instead of just collapsing like the proverbial Jenga tower. So that's why the Rams don't belong. The Rams don't have the quarterback that can do it all. And, Jared Goff and Jimmy Garoppolo in competition for the third best quarterback in the NFC West right now.
Yeah, they are. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, you said. I mean, Russell and Kyler are special. They're transcendent type players. That's not what Garoppolo and Jared Goff are. Jared Goff and Garoppolo are good. Jared Goff's been on fire for the first 2 weeks. But, yes, a lot of his success is predicated or has to at least somewhat be given to Sean McVay. Again, there's just a number of completions, and I'm not trying to sit here and bag on Jared Goff because he's made some big-time throws. But, man, there's a number of completions in every game where you just go, anybody could do that. Anybody. And I know that sounds insensitive, but I think that's the fact of the matter. I get it. And you certainly can win with Jared Goff, but yes, he's not capable of doing the things those other two guys are doing. That's for sure.
And it's not just the rushing yards. It's the ability, when the pocket begins to collapse, to get away from the pressure, extend the play. Ben Roethlisberger had an incredible throw to Deontay Johnson against the Broncos, where he rolled to his right, and as he was approaching the line of scrimmage, on the run, he fired the ball to Deontay Johnson.
Special.
So it's just extending the play when the play that's called, for whatever reason, doesn't work out. Either because the line collapses or there's a blitzer that comes free. There are some guys that can make it go, and there are some guys that can't. And Jared Goff is in the can't, and Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson are in the can.
You're right. It's going that way too, Mike, where you're talking about like scouring the earth for those type of quarterbacks. It is. I mean, look at the first three quarterbacks we saw this year. They're all capable of doing that. Herbert, Burrow. The year before we saw similar quarterbacks too. So that's the way the league's going. Trevor Lawrence. He can run. I mean, hey, if you can run for 50-yard touchdowns against Ohio State, then you can run. Because Ohio State, the whole secondary is in the NFL. I mean, the linebackers, the DNs, all of them. So he can run. You're right. The day of like the Tom Brady, the Chris Simms, the Phil Simms, the pocket passing quarterback, whatever, that is coming to an end. You have to have a special setup of a football team to have that quarterback now. Because you're right. Defenses have become too multiple. The athletes are too good. And coaches, you can't expect them to win the schematical battle play after play after play after play. There's only 2 or 3 coaches in football that can do that. Everybody else, you need a quarterback that can make a play.
Yeah, the pocket passer is becoming that guy that we talked about earlier this week. If you have a great offensive line, a great running game, great receivers, great defense, great coaches,
we can make it work. Right, exactly right. Yeah. Yes, that day is coming and going as we're watching it just unfold in front of us right now with the Watsons and the Mahomes and Justin Herbert on the scene now and everything like that. You can see that these guys can do things that, I don't have a play. I never told you to do that, but holy crap, that was awesome, and keep doing it.
We just looked at 3 2-0 teams in the NFC West. How about a trio of 0-2 teams? Texans, Eagles, Vikings. Which doesn't belong and why?
They don't belong because I look at them. The other 2 teams I have a little hope for to rebound. I have no hope for your Vikings to rebound. I'm sorry. It just there's no hope. The offense stinks. They can't pass protect. Kirk Cousins is under attack. He's making mistakes that way. The defense, there's too many new pieces. They're getting torched. The Texans, I could see them turning it around to where they get back into the playoff. I mean, we've seen it before. The Eagles, I just feel like this is the Eagles. And the NFC East, who knows? You might win the NFC East and be 6-10 this year. They're 7-9. Who knows? But the Vikings, I feel very confident after 2 weeks to go, sorry, it's not happening this year.
I was on KJR radio last night, and I was trying to convince the folks in Seattle for a Kirk Cousins and Danielle Hunter trade for Russell Wilson, I wasn't getting any interest.
Yeah, good luck.
I say the Texans don't belong because the Texans, I think, are clearly the best of the three teams. They just have pissed somebody off at the league office
Holy
and got
cow.
the Chiefs, the Ravens, and now the Steelers right out of the gates. The Steelers in Pittsburgh right out of the gates. So I think they'll get a chance to settle it down and show what they can do. But that's why we focus so much on the schedule release, because that early season schedule really can shape a team's fortune and can put you in a hole that you just never get out of, Chris.
Yeah, no, you're right. And then they're in a tough spot here. They can maybe go. You look at it, and I expect them to lose at the Steelers this weekend. But Vikings, Jaguars, they certainly can win that football game. And we'll see. The Titans, they're one of those teams that are 2-0 right now where I go, I don't know how I feel about the Titans. I mean, the Jaguars went up and down the field on them last week. It's a little scary there. So even though if they do start 0-3, we've seen Billy O and Deshaun battle back before, and I wouldn't be shocked if they were at 0-3 and all of a sudden we looked up and went, they're 4-3, or they're 4-4, and right in the thick of things. It's kind of what they do.
Let's squeeze in one more. Justin Herbert, Nick Mullins, Jeff Driscoll, all backups who will be likely starting this week. Which doesn't belong and why?
I think Justin Herbert there, because he's the future. He's the franchise. The other two guys, they know they're just kind of holding a spot down for a little bit, especially Jeff Driscoll. Nick Mullins, maybe he thinks there's a chance where he can light the world on fire and make it interesting, but I doubt that. Justin Herbert has a chance to, here it is, week 3 of the NFL season. I have a great game. We win the football game, and hello, Los Angeles Chargers fans. I'm your quarterback for the next 14 years. This could be the start of that run right now.
And what a handoff. We've talked about Joe Montana to Steve Young and Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. To go Phillip Rivers, and they already went Drew Brees to Phillip Rivers, although they didn't appreciate what they had in Drew Brees, which is why they got Phillip Rivers. But to go Brees to Rivers and now to Justin Herbert with as good as he looks, very fortunate for the Chargers. Now let's see what they can do with it as a franchise. When you've got the quarterback position taken care of, as a franchise, you probably should get to the postseason once in a while. You probably should win some playoff games, and you probably should be at least on the fringes of the conversation for a Super Bowl appearance. We'll see if they can pull that off. I say Nick Mullins doesn't belong because he's got much more experience, and as we discussed earlier in the hour, he's almost like a coach. He knows that offense. He can be the guy that Kyle Shanahan needs, where Kyle is the guy with the joystick making the Madden game go, and the quarterback does everything that Kyle wants. So he's in the best position to succeed, even though Herbert's playing the Panthers, who don't have Christian McCaffrey, which should make it fairly easy for the Chargers to get a win. But who knows? Who knows? That's why they play the games.
That's why they play the games.
Picks later today, hopefully trying to prognosticate some of these games accurately this weekend.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.